the Bears requested to interview Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. It took the Cowboys a day to respond, but that request was denied, according to ESPN. McCarthy's contract with the Cowboys expires on January 14th, but until then, the Cowboys have exclusive negotiating rights with him. We're now joined by CBS Sports NFL analyst John Breech and Ryan Wilson. And fellas, I feel like you guys can relate to this. I have a niece and nephew. They're 4 and 3. And when my niece plays with a toy, my nephew takes it and he wants that toy. And he wasn't even quite thinking about it. I kind of feel like that's something that's kind of going on with the Cowboys right now. But Breech, to start us off, just give me your thoughts on Dallas blocking McCarthy. And does this maybe mean he now has a new contract brewing?
Well, this absolutely seems like a Jerry Jones move. Oh, you want to talk to my coach? Now I'm going to keep him. I wasn't going to keep him, but now if you want him, I want him. So it is interesting to see that the Cowboys denied the Bears the chance to interview Mike McCarthy, especially because McCarthy's contract expires on January 14th, and then he can just walk out and go talk to anyone he wants. So by denying it, it makes me feel like this situation is one of two things. One is McCarthy just isn't interested in the Bears' job. And if that's the case, he's saying just deny it because we don't want to waste everyone's time. I'm not going to go up there for an interview for a job I don't want. Or the second part is the Cowboys are now leaning toward keeping Mike McCarthy, and they don't want him to go be enticed by another job that's open, a very attractive job at that, with Caleb Williams at quarterback and what the Bears are doing. So it is interesting that the Cowboys denied this. And look, I don't think that keeping Mike McCarthy is the worst thing in the world. Look, he's won 12 games in 3 of the past 4 seasons. You know how many coaches in Cowboys history have won at least 12 regular season games in 3 straight seasons? 1, and that's Mike McCarthy. So I think maybe Jerry Jones is starting to think, let's keep him and definitely not let him go to Chicago.
I love the graphic right here because Mike McCarthy looks like someone's going to sell you a great set of tires with that face there. But the point that John makes is the exact right point. Maybe he looks like a tire salesman, but he is a solid football coach, and I think that gets lost in the mix. And the mix includes all the Jerry Jones antics that goes on with and around the Cowboys. The 12-5 back-to-back-to-back years, and even winning 7 games this year with everyone and their brother hurt. Dak Prescott was hurt for much of the season. You did it with Cooper Rush. You couldn't use your wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, at the end of the season. He was banged up for much of the season when he was healthy. And when I first heard about the Bears being interested in Mike McCarthy, I was like, so we want another retread coach. And then I thought basically what Breech just laid out. That's exactly what Caleb Williams needs. Wherever Mike McCarthy goes, it isn't sexy and fireworks, but it gets the job done. They win football games. And I don't know if Jerry Jones realizes that now, or to Breech's point, Jerry Jones is just being stubborn. And instead of giving the guy the new deal now, he's waiting 7 days, and he'll let him flap in the wind until then. But I think Breech is right. I think it makes all the sense in the world to bring Mike McCarthy back because he's gotten results. And at the end of the day, that's what Jerry Jones wants. The only thing that hasn't happened, Kiana, is playoff wins, and that's also something Jerry Jones wants.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you one thing that's not going to go out of style and not going to go out of business is tire sales. And maybe that's exactly what Dallas still needs. I'm just saying, it works. It works. Well, Ryan, I want to swing this back to you because if McCarthy is out of the question now for the Bears, who do you think is maybe the next best option in Chicago?
Well, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for Detroit Lions, has made it clear, according to reports, that he's looking to land at a place that has an established or a young, promising quarterback. And that, in part, is why the New York Jets probably won't be in the picture for him. I think Cliff Kingsbury also falls into that category. And both those names make a ton of sense with Caleb Williams, right? Ben Johnson for all the things he's done in Detroit, getting the most out of Jared Goff. And that offense has been absolutely explosive. We saw that certainly in Week 18 with both Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs through the run. And then Cliff Kingsbury has a history with Caleb Williams going back to the time together at USC. And prior to that, Cliff Kingsbury was some guy named Patrick Mahomes' coach at Texas Tech. And, you can knock Cliff Kingsbury for some of the head coaching decisions as they played out in Arizona, but it turns out Arizona is bad without him as well, at least over the second half of the season. So Cliff Kingsbury's proven himself this year with Jaden Daniels. He's been absolutely on point each and every week in developing that quarterback, and that feels like a layup to me as well. So either Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury has the head coaching experience. Ben Johnson had opportunities last year but chose to come back to Detroit. So that feels like a step in the right direction if you're looking for someone who's offensive-minded to bring that quarterback along in Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and I think Ryan hit the nail on the head here. I think if you're the Bears, you have to go with an offensive-minded coach. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in this spiral where you're always trying to find a new offensive coordinator to kind of get Caleb Williams to help him. So if you're a defensive coach and Caleb Williams, the Bears offense looks really good, then your offense coordinator is going to leave. And so that's what you're doing. You're hiring an offensive coordinator every offseason. So I do think that Ben Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury probably make the most sense. But if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm not sure if I want to leave Detroit and stay in the NFC North, knowing that I'm going against Dan Campbell and biting the kneecaps off philosophy 2 times a season. So I think that I would be a little hesitant to take the job, especially because there are several other jobs out there I think Ben Johnson would be great for. Jacksonville could be a great landing spot for Ben Johnson. But I do think Cliff Kingsbury would make a lot of sense. And as Ryan, you hit all the points there with what he did with Jaden Daniels in Washington. If you can make a rookie quarterback look that good, obviously, Jaden Daniels is talented, but a lot of that has to do with Cliff Kingsbury's ability to develop an offense that his quarterback could thrive in. That's exactly what he did in Washington. That's exactly what the Bears need done in Chicago. So I think Cliff Kingsbury would be a home run hire for the Bears.
Yeah, it makes sense considering the success so far that what we've seen out of Washington, but certainly wanting someone to help develop this young signal caller and this young offense that you have in Chicago. Ryan Breech, as always, fellas. Thanks for stopping by. And with the announcement of Antonio Pierce's firing on Tuesday, that now makes 6 head coaching vacancies in this cycle. The Raiders adding to the Jets, Saints, Bears, Patriots, and Jags. But Chicago looking like a highly intriguing job with a developing young signal caller and young weapons around him.